Hello, good evening, and welcome to a much delayed Fatback 4. I am Gav, that's Grizz, that's Avy, and that is Keith. Italy are the champions of Europe, and they have won Euro 2020 in July of 2021 by beating England on penalties at Wembley tonight. We're going to have a chat about that game. We're going to have a chat about Messi winning his first international trophy with Argentina last night against Brazil at the Maracanã, and we're going to have a chat around Liverpool links and stuff like that, and anything else that comes up from the lads as we go along. Before we get going though, this show of course is brought to you by Manscaped, manscaped.com. Go there, hit LFC DT for 20% off and free shipping. And Keith, I'm going to come to you because if it was a Manscaped Cup, Italy would have won it outright before a ball was kicked, without a ball even being kicked. And tonight I think that team could easily be sponsored by Manscaped. That's what I'm trying to say to you, Keith.
They could. They're a well sculpted, well maintained team, Gav. You know, the English lads wouldn't be too far off them, in fairness, but the Italians are where it's at. You know, but the exception maybe a Chiellini, but he's the only one. The rest of them, I'd say they 20 minutes fixing their head in the mirror going out. You know, they're a good looking bunch of lads. It must be said. They're going to look well in their photos.
It must be said, and if Manscaped were to sponsor an international football team, there's no better time now than do Italy as European champions and probably the best looking squad around when you add it all up. Grizz, I'm going to come to you first though. We're not going to spend an hour on England against Italy because this is a Liverpool podcast and we want to concentrate on that. But what's your feelings after that? Because, you know, it's a 1-1 draw after extra time. It's penalties, there's drama in that. But I thought overall it was a very intriguing game of football.
It was. I thought the adulation at Southgate winning the tactical battle after 5 minutes was a bit premature, and so it turned out. We discussed the team lineup in our WhatsApp, and we thought he's gone a bit defensive and he's emptied the midfield out, and that could be dangerous. He's took out a player in midfield. Well.
A winger, really.
A winger, but it's an extra man in midfield because Mount goes wide instead of central.
They don't play forward players.
Exactly. So he went 5-2-3 or however you want, 3-5-2, however you want to look at it. But he ended up a 5-2-3. But look, they start off with an amazing goal. I mean, that's a textbook goal. You know, you think to yourself, you know, plan of action, everything that you planned goes exactly to plan with that. Switch of play, the fullbacks in one fullback to another fullback. He looks like an absolute hero. Come the end of the game and the penalties, he looks a bit awkward now. Bringing on the 3 penalty misses, bringing on the Rashford and Sancho, especially for the penalties, and then having a 19-year-old, you know, taking the sudden death penalty. I thought was poorly planned. Probably not just by Southgate, but the whole coaching set up, the whole senior players. And look, the Italians are the Italians. You know, Avy texted me, said they won't panic, and they didn't panic. They went 1-0 down away, you could say. Yeah, an absolute jubilant crowd, pumped up England, pumped up crowd. They didn't panic. They played, and in the end, you got to say deserved winners of the overall tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. I think Italy, especially in the groups, were brilliant, and then they turned into a bit like Italy in the group stages where they got through when they needed to get through and they got the job done. And Avy, you said Avy has texted you and he won't panic. I never thought he would. Although I thought going 1-0 behind would hurt them. Now that sounds like a very obvious thing to say, but it would hurt them in the fact that it would have really, really suited England. You know, when you look at the players they have, Kane is very good at holding it up and finding players. You have the speed of Sterling. You know, they had got players that could hurt Italy, especially on the break, but they didn't panic. They kept going. And they took over the game for me. You know, I looked at the end of extra time, and I think Italy had 20 shots to England's 6. You know, I think double the amount of passes, more pass success rate, higher XG if you want to look at that. But all the stats showed you how I thought Italy were not commanding in the game, but I thought they had it under control from from fairly early on, to be honest. I thought if England had got a second in the first 20 minutes, I think it would have been a long, long way back for Italy. The cushion would have been there. But overall, I think the best team has won it. Although I do think the second best team have come second. It's not like there's a team just got into the final and they were lucky and stuff like that. I think England were the second best team in the tournament. Avi, just touching on the penalties, because he brings on Rashford, he brings on Sancho on right at the death, and you know what he's doing. He's taking them on for penalties. I don't know if I agree with Grizz about the Saka one, because usually when this happens, it's players put their hands up to take them, you know. And I wouldn't look at Saka in that instance. I wouldn't look at Southgate. I'd probably look at other more senior players saying, "Where are you?" You know, and now that'll probably all come out in the wash. But what did you make of the whole penalty situation? Because I wouldn't have been confident over Rashford or Sancho. I was surprised seeing him come on, or them come on. Sorry.
Yeah, Gav, it seems as if England, they just don't learn, it seems. 2006 World Cup, Seven made a number of changes against Portugal in the quarterfinal, and he brought players on to take the penalties. And that didn't work because I remember Owen Hargreaves had only scored in that penalty shootout. And it seemed as if like he put on Sancho, Rashford, Saka, just for obviously penalties, because he put Sancho and Rashford on with 2 minutes to go. Sometimes it's when you look at the ages, 23, 21, and Saka's 18, 19, is he?
19, I think, yeah.
It's a different ball game, taking penalties in practice and then in front of a crowd of what do you think Wembley was today?
65.
Must have been more than that after the videos that we've seen. Yeah, after the videos we've seen, it must have been more. But in front of like 70,000, 80,000 fans, it's a different ball game. The nerves would have settled in, like, you know, and you just think, are they actually mentally prepared for this? I thought it was a shocking decision to have them three to take penalties. I think the Maguire one's fine, Kane was fine, but I think you should have put another sort of, you know, Calvin Phillips. You know,
Rashford's a penalty taker.
Rashford, yeah, okay,
Rashford's a penalty taker.
But they're literally coming on the pitch cold.
Yeah.
True. You know, they're literally walking on the pitch cold and going, listen, there was 90,000 people there tonight for me. It looked fucking absolutely rammed. But
more often than not, though, Gav, you'll see it more often than not. The players that come in just to take penalties, they miss. They miss. I would love to know.
But they're coming in cold. Yeah. If you bring them on in 115 minutes, take a little bit of a lottery and go, listen, we'll take a bit of a risk by putting the two of them on. We'll make them sit back just to get them in and get them running around and warmed up and get the adrenaline going and whatever. And then just to bring them on and literally go, right, you're just going on for penalties. It was a strange one for me, and it goes back to the other night. I was talking to Jamie the other night on his show, and he's just not brave enough. No. He's just not brave enough. You know, he's stuck and he's stuck and he's stuck and he's stuck and he's stuck. And I was looking, going, you have to do something here. Even the change, was it Trippier off and
Saka, was it? No, Saka.
Saka, yeah, on for Trippier. And I was kind of going, yeah, all right, he's probably going to a back four here. But again, there was something about it. Just, I don't know. Maybe I probably have a blind spot when it comes to Gareth Southgate. But I think there's been situations in this tournament where if he was a bit braver, I think he gets through against Denmark earlier than when he did. You know, the sort of way. But I don't know. Keith, worthy winners in your opinion?
Yeah. They were worthy winners. They were a great team. They weren't as good in the last few games, but they lost Spinazzola, who was a key player for them in the earlier games. But in saying that, I thought Emerson was very good tonight. When he came in, I thought he was actually good. I thought he'd be a weak link, and he wasn't. I think the way the game goes, England get the goal second minute, and I think it was the worst thing that could have happened to them. They done well for, I'd say, the first 10, 15. They created a few other chances where Trippier is putting balls into the back post. But as the first half goes on, they allowed Italy back into the game. Now, Italy weren't creating it, but they were getting a foothold in the midfield and in the game. And England were putting out fires all over the place. Like, people in our WhatsApp group were praising, not Grealish, Rice. And I thought Rice was desperate tonight. Do you know what I mean? He's just running in, nicking a ball, which is fine, and then he's not doing that with it. And as it went on, they get to half time, and you're thinking, right, it's key how Italy come out here, because if they come out firing, England could be in trouble. And that's what they done. Italy were on top of that game. England, as the game went on, I thought they were dreadful. They just invited Italy onto them. Just invited them.
That harrying and that frantic style, just quickly, that harrying, that frantic style that England brought the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, it worked though, Keith. Because Italy were in panic. The midfield was out of short, getting tied away from different positions. But you can't sustain that for 90 minutes. And that's where Southgate, second half, he didn't know what to do. Variety took control.
He starts dictating the game. lost the by making the changes he made. He lost his shape and he lost his way in the game. Whereas Mancini's subs, while you're looking at them, you're thinking, this Italy were better as the game went on. Do you know what I mean? Italy were allowed to be better. England let them into that, and it just looked like it was going one way. And then it goes to penalties. And look, I think Rashford's a penalty taker. You would expect him to be able to come in cold, even if it's on the last
but clearly
minute.
Sancho's a penalty taker because you're not bringing him on cold if he's not.
Is he a penalty taker? Because is he taking any for Dortmund? I don't
know, but what I'm saying is...
I'm saying Erling Haaland is fucking taking them for
But then, Keith, that's a confidence thing. Maybe Sancho said to Saka...
But what I'm saying, if you say Saka is the best penalty taker in training, doesn't take them for Arsenal, does he? So it's a lot different. Do you know what I mean? Sancho can be a great penalty taker in training, but if you're taking them in games, whereas Rashford has taken them in games, in high-profile games.
I think we've talked... You know what? I think we've talked about Southgate not being brave. I think sometimes we get away from the players not being brave. We let them off very easily. It's always blamed on the players. I thought the players weren't brave enough on the ball.
No.
Namely Phillips, Rice. Mount tries, but he gives it away a lot because he tries to do the different thing. I thought they weren't brave enough.
But you know why I think, sorry, Grizz, you know why I think Mount wasn't really, not that he wasn't brave. He's used to playing with a Jorginho behind him who's a controller and a dictator, whereas England don't have that. And, you know, maybe that's what they needed. Like Rice and Phillips were just looking to get rid of it quickly, whereas Jorginho or a Kovacic or whatever in the Chelsea midfield will look to get the ball down and will try and do intricate little passes. And maybe that's where Mount flourishes rather than the helter-skelter that he was getting tonight.
That lack of braveness and that lack of confidence went into their mindsets into the penalties.
Yeah.
And so therefore the likes of, I mean, I don't know, Henderson, if he was brought off, if that was tactical.
It was tactical.
It was for the penalty shootout. But was that Henderson's decision? Like, okay, I'm not going to be one of the penalty takers.
Do you know what I'm saying? Against the Czechs or whatever before the tournament.
He missed.
Do you know what I'm saying, guys? Though, did Henderson decide that look, I'm not going to take a penalty if it comes down to it? You know, was that communicated?
Well, I hope.
Question for Gav though. Gav, you got Sancho, you got Saka, and you got
Why are you asking Gav?
Rashford? Because I'm not asking you. So basically,
absolutely.
Would you still, even though Henderson missed against Czech Republic and in the friendly, and he's missed another penalty for England, would you not have still put him ahead of those three boys?
I don't know. I don't know, because usually when it comes to penalties, you would be asking beforehand who's on them. They would have a list of probably 7 or 8, and then out of that 7 or 8, you'll probably pick what 5. Now out of that 5, 3 of them are probably nailed on.
Yeah.
You know, Harry Kane is definitely nailed on. Harry Maguire must like taking penalties. He's nailed on. But I just look around, like even when you go back to Trippier, or Trippier, whatever way you want to call him, I was surprised he come off, because when he come off, I thought, if this goes to pens, I think he's a penalty taker. Do you remember in the last World Cup, he was England's free kick. He was that dead ball.
He's a set piece, man.
Yeah,
imagine he can hit a pen.
So, Abby, to be honest with you, I think it's hindsight, and it's, you know, it could be just me just overthinking it. But if it was me, I would have said, listen, Jordan, we're taking you off. But I'm taking you off with 3-4 minutes to go, because I want to get these on and into the game and just get any sort of feel for it, rather than literally walking on the pitch, whistle blown, and away we go. We're on penalties. I just want to get to this though. Mazza asks with two super chats. He says, what do you think of Chiesa? He feels he's incredible. He says he seems like a Klopp player, Grizz. What do you reckon of Chiesa?
Absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
My favourite player of the tournament. I said it very early when he wasn't selected, I think, for the first game, and I said Chiesa needs to be playing in this Italy team if they've got any chance.
Surprising that he wasn't it, Grizz? Because he's gone
Berardi
in
was
well
picked,
at Juve.
Yeah, Berardi was picked ahead of him, and I thought, whoa, no, this guy needs to play. We were very interested in when he was at Fiorentina, but I think that ship sailed now that he's under Juve's control.
Yeah. But look, the tournament's over. Keith famously told us a couple of weeks ago that the tournament was really lacking in quality. There was some excitement, but yeah, he stands by it. But I suppose Italy come and win it, and fair play to them. They'll enjoy it for the next 3 years or whatever until it comes up again. But Avi, what do you think England take out of this? Because although I'm not a big fan of Gareth Southgate, and I know it's a penalty defeat in the final, it is progress for them. It is progress, and even though I don't feel he's brave, he stuck to his guns, which I kind of like. You know, even when I'm telling you he's not brave enough, he stuck to his guns and he stuck to his beliefs, and he didn't panic because he could have easily went and threw Henderson in there instead of Rice or Phillips today, or he could have done. Oh, I'll throw Sancho in. Everyone's calling for Sancho, but he didn't. He stuck to his guns, and I kind of respect him for that. What do England take out of this, despite the fact that they've lost the final and be kind of heartbreaking for them?
They take a lot, Gav. They take hope. They take confidence going into Qatar next year. They take a wonderful bunch of lads now. Whether this is the next phase of the golden generation, only time will tell. But you've still got the experience there. You'd imagine Hendo goes next year because it's in the winter as well. So you'd imagine he'll still be around, the Kanes, the Maguires. So I think they would have taken a lot of this maturity. It's the kids now that I feel for a little bit. Sancho, Rashford, Saka, see what they do for their clubs in the coming season. But look, there's a tremendous amount of talent that's coming through for England. Southgate's never going to be. You're never going to see in England play full-flowing football like the Spaniards have done, or the Brazilians of the past, or the French. He has a certain style, and I think, look, you've got to keep him in the job. You go into next year Qatar, and you have a fair, you've got a good chance of doing well again. The semi-final against Croatia in the last World Cup, should have really beaten Croatia after going 1-up. Today, it's one of those games that Italy, they played well second half. They got into it, should have really won it before penalties. And, when it gets to penalties, it's pot luck, really. And then next tournament, which is in Qatar, you just got to keep faith. And I think they can hold their head up high. I know things are going to be very sensitive right now. There's going to be loads of media crap that's going to come out that, we bottled it on penalties and whatnot, the normal sham that comes with it. But, I think these boys will go again next year.
I think the pressure really got to them, to be honest. I think the pressure was heaped on them. It's coming home by every single person all the way through that. I think the pressure got to them. I think they scored early. They had a bit of sustained pressure for 5 or 10 minutes after that. And then they just looked like they were bereft of ideas. I've been critical of England in this tournament because, they had a favourable draw the way through. They can't help that. That's just the way it goes. You just work on that. They had a lot of home games. But I just felt that the pressure got to them. I felt when the penalties were happening and the draw, they'd done the coin and it was down the England end, I said it to me missus, says, I don't think that's going to benefit them, because I think I didn't see a mentally strong England team. Do you know what I mean? And that's not a dig at them. I think they've progressed. I think they've come a long way, and it will hold them in good stead. But I just still feel that there was a pressure, an inordinate amount of pressure put on them players by the media and by the fans. It's always going to be the way in England, and especially when it's a home tournament.
Exactly. And they played 6 of the 7 games at Wembley, 1 away in the Stadio Olimpico. And like you said, when they're winning those games and they edge past Denmark and they've done Germany, Ukraine, they've been good in the group, solid, and got the results. Always going to happen, Keith. It's always going to happen with them, And you know what? I think... you would think people would learn lessons and say, look, maybe just give them a break. And if they get to a semi, just support them and stop telling the world you're going to rule it. Yeah. But do you know what? It won't, because if they do it again, it was like, well, we were there last time. They know what it's about now. Now they should win it. So it's just going to heap it on a bit more. But I've a bone to pick with the three of you, because last night, or early this morning, the three of you decided to do a watch along for the Copa America final. Argentina won, Brazil 0, and Messi wins his first tournament or international tournament with Argentina. And the reason I'm about to pick with you is because all I've got all day is, can you do one for this game? Can you do one for that game? Are you doing them for all games? Are you doing them for this? Are you doing them for that? Just to let you know straight off, watch alongs aren't their thing. They never have been. Okay, but I think 45,000 people watched last night, which is madness. We did get a lot. We always take feedback from people. And them numbers from last night, coinciding with the messages and stuff we've got today, we're not going to commit to watch alongs to every game. It's just not going to happen. All right. But every now and then we will drop in a watch along. That's the best deal we can do for you. So it could be the first game of the season. It could be, I don't know, whatever game we choose. It could be a cup game, whatever. Whenever people are available and we can do it, because we have more shows, we've more content coming next season on top of what we do already. And to throw in watch-alongs, A, it wouldn't be fair to promise you them, and then we couldn't do it. And
Gav,
B, yeah.
Tell them what watch-along Avy wanted you to do.
Avy wanted me to set up a watch-along tonight of...
No, before that, the original one. for the tournament. That's
No.
No, the one you come on tonight, you said to me, any chance you can set up a watch along? I know a few people that want to watch USA versus
Haiti. First game for the Gold Cup for us, boys.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not happening, unfortunately. I'm sorry for the masses of Haitians that were waiting for that, but it's not happening. But just on the watch along thing, we will do our best. Okay. And when people are available, we will try to do something for you, but we're not committing to tell you we're going to absolutely do it every show, because then it turns out that we don't get them done and people come back and go, you promised us. So we're going to be very open with you. But Grizz, it was a brilliant watch along. I ended up watching it because my child, 18 months old, had a breakdown at about 12 o'clock last night till about 3:30. But what did you make of the numbers, Grizz? And obviously, what did you make of the game?
Look, the numbers, when you got mountain of knowledge, this our South American correspondent, Keith Vickery, you know.
I was waiting for that.
You're gonna get. He was
going on about the 54 World Cup and everything.
Well, listen, he's got it. He's there for that pearls of wisdom, you know. But I knew when to switch it up. I could sense the crowd getting restless when he was going. I thought I'd tell him to save it for half time, because that's the time to just give the viewers and listeners, you know, some real pearls of wisdom. But no,
or else just have a go at Avy, which is usually your go-to thing.
Yeah, like, I wasn't having a go at Avy, to be honest with you.
I disagree.
Well, someone messaged me and says they enjoyed the watch along, but they felt that, you know, why does Grizz and Avy do it if Grizz hates him so much? So I had to explain that.
I think it's a love-hate. It's a love-hate relationship. You know, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah,
like, you know, he loves me, I hate him. Yeah, but look, it is what it is.
It was a really enjoyable watch along.
It was, and I tell you what. Shall I tell you what really makes it, guys? The chat.
Yeah,
and we say it all the time. We've got the most knowledgeable people in our chat.
Yeah, we do.
Guys, do you remember there was one thing we asked ourselves? Laura Duffy had the answer before
the question was even asked. Before the question was.
So it's amazing. But look, the general flow of the chat, the general respect in the chat, first and foremost, it's brilliant, and it makes our life so much easier. You know, the knowledge is brilliant, and it was fun. I must admit, I had come back from a football session after 15 years, my first football session after 15 years. So I needed some soothing. And
where was it? Brisbane Road?
No, it was. I'll tell you where it was. It was behind the college. No, listen to this one. It was behind the college that David Beckham went to.
All right.
There you go. David Beckham went to college.
It's like pitches.
Well done. Rewind this a bit. David Beckham
did you score? Did you score? Did you manage to get on the score sheet?
I explained this on the show yesterday. So you're trying to wind me up again, right? And so I'm not going to fall for the bait. But I didn't score. It's the first time in my life I've not scored at six-a-side. I was a shambles. I was a disgrace. I've said all this, but listen, I'm here to tell the tale, which is the main thing.
That's it.
But yeah, look, it was brilliant. I think we it was a good start, and let's see how it goes. That's what we're going to say for now.
Yeah. No, Dylan O'Rourke, it's right.
Dylan O'Rourke's looking for a slap here. He says, I once likened both to the Trippers Ant and Deck, but reconsidered and ended with the Trippers equivalent of Jedward. So I think he thinks Grizz are like Jedward.
No, he thinks me and Grizz are like Jedward, because he said it last week as well on the Argentina.
Don't say that. Colombia. Jesus, don't. After Grizz has had a bad night at the six-a-side, don't be saying stuff like that.
Now we are John or Edward. John Grimes and Edward Grimes.
But look, all jokes aside, I'm going to be honest. Avy and Grizz and Keith came to me with that and said, the Copa, you've done a semi-final, didn't you?
The boys did.
The two lads did it, and they said, look, I think we should do the final. And Keith said, I'll jump on, but only if Argentina are in it. And they went and done it. I set it up and I left them to it. And like literally, I think when it ended, there was 15,000 were at the watching, and this morning it was 44. And it would be very easy for us to turn around and go, watch alongs, look at that, aren't they great? And go for it. But we're not going to promise it and then not be able to deliver. So we will bring you some throughout the season. That's all we're going to say. Yeah. And when we get a chance and when we're available, we'll ask around every game. But if there's no one around, we won't say anything. If there is people around, we will try bring them to you, okay? Because it seems like the air chat enjoyed them, which is cool.
Yeah.
Gav, if I may, Gav, and
You may.
you can stop me at my, you can stop me in my.
If you mention Haiti again, you're getting bleeding.
No. I would love to do a Gold Cup if we get to the semis or final as the US. But if I tell you what, if Liverpool, the first game that Liverpool play at 12:30 kickoff, it will be 4:30 in the morning my time on Saturday morning. I would be happy to put my hand up and say, I would love to host that show. If a 4:30 kickoff for me, so it might be a mad one because I'll literally just wake up and just put it on.
If, as I said, if we get people that are available from game to game, or a couple of games next season, we will go and do it. But as I said, I'm just not making promises to viewers, and then it doesn't happen, and that because it's not fair, the sort of way. So we'll it's a work in progress, and we'll see how it goes. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Keith, Lionel Messi just confirmed last night what everyone already knew, that he is probably the greatest player to ever play the game. Were you delighted for him?
I was, Gav. I was. To be honest, you touched on it earlier that I've said that I didn't think the quality of the Euros was great, and I genuinely don't. I think there was a few exciting games due to the poor quality. The Copa was excellent. The final wasn't. Do you know what I mean? We watched the match last night. It wasn't a great game. Messi certainly wasn't great, but he comes away from that tournament as the standout player, and it wasn't a token gesture. He finally wins one, give him all the awards. He was brilliant in the other games. He's the top scorer, top assists. He's a sensational footballer. And, it's harsh because I always felt, Ronaldo won the Euros with Portugal, and it was sort of used against Messi that he never done it. And it was always harsh because that was Messi's fourth Copa final. He was in a World Cup final. He never got over the line. And it was like he's been the player of the tournament in these tournaments. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's stunk it out or anything.
Yeah,
he's being brilliant. And he's just being let down by maybe the supporting cast. And I was delighted for him to get across the line because, it doesn't change his legend or his player, the player he is, by winning it and not winning it. But it just takes away a stick that's used to beat him. Do you know what I mean? And that was what I was waiting for. It lets him, he goes down in Argentina, where he's probably not as loved as people might think, because he never played in Argentina. He went to Barcelona as a 13-year-old or something like that. He played for Newell's Old Boys in their youth teams, but he sort of just went and skipped, whereas the Argentinians love the players that are playing Boca Juniors, River Plate, and on San Lorenzo, Racing, all these teams. So there's a sort of a disconnect really with Messi and the Argentinian people, and I think that was what they needed and what he needed to cement his legend over there. And I was just delighted. It was for the good of football that Messi won that, and that sounds real cheesy, but it really was, because he's the best player to ever play the game. There's never been any people say Maradona, and look, that's fair enough. Maradona is nowhere near Messi. Do you know what I mean? Like it's Messi is just a ridiculous footballer. And I'm just happy that he done it. But, some people will say, Ronaldo, and that's fine. If you like Ronaldo's a physical specimen. He's an athlete, you know what I mean? And there's not one like him. It's not the type of player that I like. It's nothing to do with Ronaldo because he played for Manchester United. It's just not the type of player I like. I like a creative player, and Messi is just the pinnacle of that. So yeah, I was chuffed. It sort of meant tonight's game, I've been not anti-England, I'd say, but I just haven't been as hyped on them through the tournament. And I genuinely didn't give a shit if they won tonight, because I was just focused on Messi getting the title last night, if you know what I mean. Today's match was sort of irrelevant to me, really.
Yeah. Grizz, does he go down as the best? Does any, as Keith said, there's any kind of mud that can be thrown in with regards to international football that disappears now after last night? Does that just cement his place as the best for you?
I think for this age of social media, where a lot of people look at titles won, trophies won, major international trophies won. If you're judging it on sort of ability, and you look at the numbers and will they ever be even remotely close? And will anyone get in remotely close? You can't say anyone will get anywhere near the types of numbers these guys have. Again, when it comes to sort of best player or your favorite player, it's very subjective. As Keith exactly said, it's the style of player that each individual likes. Like, I will never ever argue with Keith saying Messi is the greatest player in the world. But for me, it's Maradona. I know who yours is. Yeah, that's fair. So exactly, and that's because I grew up in the era of Maradona, and his, when you start noticing what football is all about. And I done another magnificent tweet the other day which got a few thousand likes, where I said,
standard issue for you, Grizz.
I'd actually, if it was now, Gav, he's one of those players, Gav, that I would leave everything and go and watch him play everywhere in the world. Like, that's what I thought of him. That's the kind of player he was for me. Like, if I could afford it, I would just leave my family, kids, everyone.
Make sure she's not watching then.
No, I would. I would. No, I'm saying it. Leave my friends, including Avy. I would just go and watch this guy play as much as I could anywhere in the world. That's what Maradona meant to me. But again, that's individual. But the Messi Ronaldo debate, Gav, it's never, in my opinion, it was never a debate. Again, harsh as this may sound on some people in the chat, but that's what I'm here to be. I'm here to speak my mind and not milk my words. If I usually base other people's football knowledge on their opinion on Messi and Ronaldo. And
the only thing I would say about Ronaldo is I think Ronaldo, like you know about Messi, he was really small as a kid and you had to build him up and all this sort of stuff. And he, like you say, knew his old boys. He goes to Barcelona and you see him turn up at the back end of the Ronaldinho era there, and he was unbelievable. And he scores one goal where he gets on the halfway line in the Camp Nou and he just fucking tears through a team, beats the keeper, the whole lot. It was very
Maradona one.
It was very reminiscent of that. Yeah,
it was
and it was just the thing for me with Messi was he was so, you could see a pass, he could do all sorts of stuff. He just had everything in his locker. Ronaldo, for me, his evolution has been brilliant because when he turns up at United in 2003, I think 4 maybe. Yeah. He's this show pony, loads of step overs. End product wasn't always there, and Ferguson bashes it into him.
A scrawny young fella as well. Yeah, he wasn't the specimen that he is now.
No, he wasn't. He was a scrawny young kid with the wavy hair, and he was. I think he comes on and makes his debut at Fulham, home to Fulham, and he turns them inside out. But then crosses were going into the Stretford end and all sorts, and then Ferguson molds him. But then he's out and out winger, and then he goes to be a goal scoring wide forward, and then he becomes just a goal scorer. He goes to Madrid, and they see it, and they put him in the middle, and it's a brilliant evolution from Ronaldo. But when I think about all round, just the best, Maradona was an absolute genius, but I think Messi just pips him. I really do. For entertainment, Wizard says there, and he mentions the name of Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho was fucking outrageous. But we could have this conversation all night. But for me, what Messi wins a Copa there last night, and it's like that's it. That's the cherry on top now of everything he's done. He's won a Copa. Now he may keep going, and he will, and he go to Qatar, and he might have a go at that. And if he puts a World Cup on top, well, what are we going to say? You know what I mean? But he's absolutely unbelievable.
Before we move off that, Gav, somebody said it recently, it could have been on one of the shows, that Ronaldo is the perfect role model for your kids as a footballer. If you have a kid, model them on Ronaldo, because Ronaldo trained and worked as hard as anyone ever worked to get to the top. Yeah. Right? Ronaldo didn't have Messi had the ability. Messi was God-given. He still works hard, but you can't train your kid to be like Messi. He's either a fucking wonder kid or he's not. Ronaldo, he obviously had the skill, but he had to work hard. And I've never seen a player work as hard as Cristiano Ronaldo to get to the top. And I would I'm not a Ronaldo fan. I'll put my hand up and say that he's not a player who excites me, but the work he put in to get there is absolutely phenomenal. And that, to me, what sets him apart from nearly everybody else is that he worked to get to that. So you can work hard and get to a level, but he worked hard and got to the bleeding pinnacle. You know what I mean? So you can't knock him for that. Yeah, absolutely. Avi, the Copa, I know you watched a lot of it. Did the best team win it for you?
Yeah, they did on the whole. They did win it. They started to turn up after the group stages, Argentina. So yeah, they did deserve to win it. I thought Messi, I think we said it yesterday on the yesterday show, he had a bit of a stinker yesterday. He had that great chance towards the end. I thought Rodrigo the ball, I thought he was brilliant. Otamendi, full props to him. He was defended magnificently, put a little karate style kick on Neymar as well towards the end. But no, the best team won, and Messi's got his sort of chapter, with Argentina. And full credit to Scaloni as well, the ex-West Ham boy who played against us in the 2006 FA Cup final. And no, full credit. And you will probably see him in Qatar next year as well, the World Cup. So you never know. You might just add the big one.
Yeah.
Moving away from international football, congratulations to Argentina and Italy. Commiserations to England and Brazil in both those finals. But moving away from that, Grizz, we are being linked with every fucking midfielder on the planet. Okay? Every time I turn around, there's a different name. So I want to go through a few. Now, you've probably done this on Thursday night, but I don't care. It's Sunday. It's the start of a new week. So I want to start with... firstly, I mentioned for Rodrigo de Paul last night. What a midfielder he is, by the way. But I want to start with Saul Neguez. Am I saying that right?
Neguez.
Yeah. So Saul linked bids, wages. It's all going on. The latest one I've seen is that Barcelona are trying to swap him with Griezmann. Now, the only way I think that works at the moment is if Griezmann leaves on about £1 million a week and Saul comes in and plays for a tenner at Barcelona to solve their issue. But Grizz, Saul Neguez, what are we thinking? Because the reason I'm asking that, I want to kind of get a feel on this player because there's another player I want to bring up in a second.
So yeah, we did discuss it on Thursday, and I think it was unanimous. It was us three, wasn't it? Keith?
Yeah.
It was Keith.
Steve. And Steve.
Oh, Steve, sorry, yeah. And I think it was unanimous that of all the midfielders that we've been linked with this season so far, Saul Neguez is probably the most polished. Is that a way of saying it, Avy, Keith?
Yeah,
that's a good word.
He's absolutely immaculate in everything he does, in my opinion. So he's 26. So that usually means he's probably in the prime of his career or coming into the prime years. Why Liverpool fans have brought up his age is beyond me. When you get linked with youngsters, they say we need to buy players that are ready for now. And now that we're getting linked for players that are ready for now, we're saying, oh, we need to build for the future. So, the Liverpool fan base can be a bit weird on the old social media. But Gav, this guy's, he reminds me, he's everything. He's left-footed, which is what we really need as well for that balance. We've not got many left-footers in our whole squad, especially from a central area. We've got Robbo obviously wide. We've got Shaq who plays, supposedly wide as well. This geezer gives us a strength, a left-footed strength in central midfield area. He can do it all. He's got a crack on him, which we could do with as well. We lack goals from midfield, we lack goals from midfield, but especially strikes from outside the box.
Yeah.
And this geezer's got a crack on him. I think the interest is very real. I think we've obviously, through agents, through intermediaries, realized or found out that he's available for sale. So that's a positive, because you don't want to try go in for a player that's not for sale and then they can name their price and then negotiations end there. There's a willingness from Athletico to sell, and there's a willingness from us to buy. From what I know, Klopp has spoken to him, and that's usually a very good sign. Now, I know he spoke to Werner and that didn't come off, but when he speaks to players, that's usually a very good sign. So I'm fairly positive. I'm fairly confident that if the desire is there from both parties, we should be able to thrash out a deal for this guy.
Grizz touched on something there, Gav, before we move off this, and it's the rumour of the Griezmann-Saul swap. It's a nice idea, but Griezmann earns 800 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? That's his salary at Barcelona. Now, if he's to move, Athletico are not going to give him 800,000 a week. You wouldn't think it anyway. Like, every club is in financial trouble. I don't know if that's just a bit of, mischievous rumour mongering that's going on. I mean, I don't know how that financially can work without a payoff to Griezmann if he's to go. How Griezmann lives without Barca having to shell in millions to him for his contract. So to me, I think that stinks of a smoke screen. We spoke about Saul. I think he's ready made. He's like of the sort of Thiago ilk in the sense. I'm not comparing him to Thiago. I'm just saying he is ready made. Do you know what I mean? He's not a project or a blood him in. He's one that comes in and immediately is staking a claim in that midfield in their first 11. And if they get that across the line, I think it's a sensational deal.
The reason I'm asking is while the Saul stuff is going on, the name again has popped up with Youri Tielemans, and this was quite hot before the Euro started, if you remember. And then there was rumour he was signing a new deal at Leicester, and he didn't. He went off to the Belgian camp for Euro 2020, and now it's back up. Youri Tielemans' name seems to be going around again, and 60 million quid being mentioned. Avi, I'm getting the impression, and I said this to you privately, and I might have said it on one or two shows, that if Liverpool have deals that they want to be done, I think they're very close to being done before the ball's kicked at the Euros. That's my opinion. I think the Saul stuff is coming out because Rodrigo de Paul will go to Athletico. There's talk of air former player
Luis Alberto.
Yeah, Luis Alberto's in the mix now as well. Maybe the Saul ones come out a bit out of the blue, but Avi, for you, is the Tielemans stuff just coming up because, Liverpool look like they're really interested in the midfielder, let's just throw another one in the hat that was there 4 or 5 weeks ago? Is that your opinion, or do you still think Tielemans is a possibility?
The names being bandied about, the midfielders that we've linked with, you'd imagine that any one of them can come. So we've had Bissouma, we've had the Neuhauses, we've had the Tielemans, we've had the Rodrigo de Paul's, Tielemans. I think you mentioned one. Pedri was even mentioned. So the players that we're being linked with, it does show you that Liverpool are showing content. I can't see Tielemans myself, Gav, at Liverpool. I just don't see. I think he does fit in our system, but I don't see how we part with 60 million, because Leicester will want big money. They're not in any rush to sell.
Yeah.
I did find the Tielemans celebration at the FA Cup final a bit weird, considering he's got 2 years to run his contract, unless he's had a gentleman's agreement with the Leicester board and Brendan and whoever is part of their committee and said, look, I do really want to go up to that next level, which is a top 4 team. For me, I would love Saul, but I think, and I think Grizz tweeted it today and we mentioned it on Thursday, I think there's an array of players now that you'd never think in previous summers were available by their clubs who are becoming available now, like Saul. Saul's a very, I know he started off at Real Madrid, but he's a very much of a Atletico Madrid boy. Like, he's been there for the last sort of 8, 9 years, 10 years. And now all of a sudden he's available, whether Simeone doesn't fancy him anymore, whatnot. But there are quality players who are becoming available at the right price too. Goretzka, his name was mentioned about 10 days ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't see Tielemans. But look, I'm sure Tielemans would jump at the chance for Liverpool. And if Liverpool feel that, if Liverpool thought there is a possibility of getting a deal done between 50 million to 60 million, then I'm sure they'll jump at it. But I think there's a lot of targets that have made us think, wait a minute, if he's become available, maybe we should go there. And then another one's come available a few days later. Maybe, I think at the moment it's a bit of a cat and mouse myself.
I absolutely agree.
First for everything there, Grizz.
That's why I disagree with Gav's opinion that deals are already in place. And I do agree that deals are in place, but I don't think a decision has been made to sort of, especially in that central midfield area, because of the fact that there are players becoming available that we didn't probably think were available. Like if Saul Neguez, as Avi says, is an Atletico Madrid boy, like they gave him a 9-year contract.
9-year deal.
A 9-year deal. So that's obviously through an intermediary we've come to know that he is available. So this therefore plans are our favorite word, fluid. And I think it's one of those summers where a lot of cat and mouse, and you got to show a lot of patience, but a lot of bravery, because it's an absolute market for buyers.
Just on this contract thing with Saul, because I know a lot of people are saying he's on 280 to 300. He isn't on that much. There's a guy who put a report out on Twitter. It was translated in English, but the actual start of that 9-year contract actually started at 110,000. So if you go 2 years from there, he must be on 130, 40 right now, and then it will gradually go up depending on his obviously success and longevity at the club.
The beauty of Saul is that it's a money ball signing or an FSG signing, because he's not a 30 or 40 million pound player. Do you know what I mean? In the current market, Saul is a much bigger one. But because he was out of the team a bit last season.
And would you have concerns over that?
No, none whatsoever.
But Keith, this kidney, it doesn't seem as if, I know he got knocked to it, but there does seem to be a bit of a issue there. Because people are saying that he didn't run as much last year either in Atletico.
He's only missed 17 games in 8 years. Do you know what I mean? 17 games in 8 years isn't a big concern, you know, considering he had a kidney problem for 2 years of that. I don't know. I think it's one that, you know, Atletico tried to change their style. They changed their tack. They had players that came in. They brought in Llorente from Real Madrid, and I just think Saul, who played a wide a lot as well, like he played on the wide midfield for Atletico. I just think he maybe fell out under Simeone. Simeone's a temperamental manager as well. Koke was out of the team for a while. You know, he does sort of drop them a bit. And I just think this is where you pounce and you get a player for way below his market value. Way below his market value. And if you can get it done. But compared to Tielemans for 67, I wouldn't go near Tielemans if he could get Saul.
It's very interesting to me because Jono says there Saul was linked with City and United predominantly, I think, 12 months ago for 70 to 80 million. And I remember seeing United fans absolutely drooling over this guy. Yeah. And they thought he was going to be their marquee signing of last summer. Yeah. And do you remember he said he was making an announcement and he started an fucking club or whatever you called him. Yeah. And it was great crack. But to see it go from 70 to 80 down to rumoured 40, 45, I don't know. The first thing I think is, what's the contract? And the second thing is, you know, has he been out of the side, and why has he been out of the side? Is it form? Is it a falling out with a manager? I like to kind of know these things, because if it's a lack of form, or he's, you know, not running as much, is there a problem there? Are we putting 45 million on the table as a bit of a risk? You know, Grizz, just for you though.
I'm just going to quickly finish that. Sorry, I was going to say, Gav, what I usually look for is fans' reactions, and Atletico Madrid fans are up in arms about the thought of Saul leaving, and that's always usually a good indication. So, for example, you know, like with Gini leaving for Liverpool, we had a kind of is it fair to say a slight split in the camp? Some was like, we're happy to let him go, you know, he's about to run out of petrol, and some were saying, no, let's keep him. It's pretty unanimous with Saul. Yeah, the fans are like in uproar, so that's usually a good sign. And again, I genuinely think that he's one of those that's popped up on the radar, and you just don't not try and get a player of Saul's quality.
Okay.
You look at Geni's last year with us, actually, he wasn't great. You know what I mean? He was ever present, but his game realistically had dipped. He was doing a lot of running. So players can have a season where they may be a bit off the boil and need a new challenge. And that could be all it is with Saul. You know, a lot of miles on the Simeone clock intensity. I know Klopp is very similar. Yeah. But Simeone's a scream in your face merchant, and he looks like he'd have a scrap with you as well if you didn't do what you were told. So it could be an intense thing there, and he just needs a new change. But that's all guesswork.
Yeah, I want to just move on to the forward areas because I hope I say this right because Avi goes fucking mad. But Malin or Malin, go on, Avi.
Malin.
I've been corrected myself by a few on the comments. Is Daniel Malin?
Okay, Daniel Malin.
Malin.
Okay, Malin doesn't matter.
Tomato.
It's Malin. We've had a Dutch contingent in the chat confirming Malin.
But he's British, so Malin. In Holland.
Okay, Malin again. The talk has come out over the last couple of days, and this is just what I'm seeing, because when I flick onto Twitter, I just keep seeing these names, and I take a note of them. I, you know, read a couple of threads, and there seems to be a lot of people talking about them. He's been linked again, and the talk is 40 million in around that number as well. And now the talk was that he was going to go to Borussia Dortmund as a replacement for Jadon Sancho. That hasn't happened yet. Keith, I'll come to you. Does he suit us? Daniel Malin?
Malin does suit us, yeah, he does. He's the sort of profile I think will be good. A lot of people are screaming for somebody that replaces Bobby, and I don't think we necessarily need someone to replace Bobby, because I think Jota can come in, and if Bobby is out of the team, I think you can start next season with Mane, Salah and Jota in an ideal world, and that's a good, strong front line. So if you bring in a Malin, he can develop in the background. Right, I like the idea that he can play centrally, he can play wide. Right, so he's a good profile. He's one that can come in, and I think he's good enough to come in and get into the team and do bits. You know what I mean? Is he the right player? I don't know. I don't know if it's if the rumors are correct. There's a lot of talk of Vlahovic, and whether we go for that type of player, if we replace Origi with Origi like. As in, you know, 6'2", 6'3", that can move. I don't know if Klopp wants that profile, and Malin isn't that. Malin is very much sort of in the Timo Werner mould, and that might sound a bit, damning him with faint praise, but he's a player he's pacey enough. He can play wide, he can play centrally. He's a good player. Do you know what I mean? Young Timo Werner at Stuttgart was a cracking player, played wide a lot of the time. It's not the player that's at Chelsea now, and he could be better for them next season. Do you know what I mean? But I think he'd be of that sort of that ilk. Whereas I think from looking at the rumours and you're hearing names and you're hearing the likes of Weghorst and Isaac and all getting mentioned, I think Vlahovic is the more maybe realistic target. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. The boys will know more than me.
Avi, one other player in the news this week was Harvey Elliott. Signed a new long-term deal at Liverpool. Looking well in his jersey. He got a haircut. He's doing all the right things. What do you see for him? Because, the word coming out from a couple of journalists that they're not looking at a loan from next season. They feel he could be part of the first-team squad. Do you agree with that? Or would you look for a loan?
Look for a loan. Look for another loan, preferably to a Premiership team now. I think a Norwich would be a great fit for him. I like Daniel Farke. I like the way he plays football. They've got some good talent, and they try to play like not similar style.
Naive football, they play.
Not naive football, yeah, naive football. But hopefully, they've learned from that first experience from a couple of years ago when they were in the Premiership. So I think that would be a great move for him. I think he's a cut above the Championship. But now I would like to see him in the Premiership on a loan, though. I don't think he's ready yet. Another year, let him put some stats up in the Premiership and then go full pelt the season after. In terms of Malin, I've said if the big target is not attainable, I'm not going to mention his name again, then Vlahovic next would be great. Would be a great option for me. I'm very impressed with every time that I see him at Fiorentina. Seeing more and more clips of him. I do like the player. I think he's different to what we currently have. And another player that I've mentioned to Grizz for quite a while now, months on end, he does have a bit of an attitude problem, but Luis Diaz, who's had a great tournament for Colombia, really scored some great goals. I think he's a workhorse. I think he's the most similar to Bobby in terms of work rate, being a pest, linking up play with the midfield. I would absolutely love Luis Diaz. Malin, I just would stay clear. I just don't rate him, unfortunately.
It's interesting because I disagree with you on Harvey Elliott. I think he's perfect now to come back in and be around the squad and give him cup games and do you know the way they've treated Kelleher and Curtis Jones, where they've kept him around the squad and given him a couple of games? I think it fast tracks him even more. He's been out on loan, and the fact that he's got first team football, albeit at Championship level, but I think coming back, listen, he's a 17-year-old kid and he went and he just raved about in the Championship, raved about, and I never heard anything about he lacked pace or he was thrown off the ball. I never heard anything like that. It was just he's such a good footballer, and I think the fact that he's been out on loan and he's proven himself on loan, I don't know if a Premier League move does him that good. I think I'd give him a spot on the squad. I probably would, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not asking him to play 25, 30 games next season, but I think even if he was to get 10, 15, be around that squad.
FA Cup games and League Cup games, sorry to interrupt, but we don't get far in those competitions.
No, I know we don't. I know we don't. But if you look at you could have him on the bench, no problem, in my opinion. I think you could have him on the bench. I think if Klopp wanted to really develop him, he could say, I have a goalkeeper, I have 5 other players and I'm putting him on. I genuinely believe that. And I think, do you know something? It may be a case of keep him in the squad this season and send him next, because there's no problem doing a loan next season after a year with us to see you were at the Championship, here's our level, you're not quite at it, go out and do it again and come back and then we'll have a look, because he's just signed a new long-term deal. So
you wasted a year there, think you wasted a year.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
You played 35, 40 games again.
No, because I'll tell you why. Because if you sent him out on a Championship loan, right, which they have done, and he's proven himself, and you take him back and you go, we're sending you out on a Premier League loan now, you're not giving him a chance to show how he's progressed for you. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you bring him back from the Championship and you say, right, you're staying in the squad this season, no matter what, you're staying in the squad next season, you're going to be around the squad, i.e. like Kelleher, like Curtis Jones, like Nico Williams, and we're going to keep you in there, and you're going to get games here and there, in the league, off the bench, wherever it might be. And come the end of the season, you know, we go at a rate of 100, but you're currently at 85. Right, we'll give you we can't keep you here for another year. You need to get more football at a higher level, and we'll go and give you more football, and then come back. He's 17 years of age. There's loads of time to put him in the squad for a year, in my opinion, to assess him. And not only assess him, but people think you go into a squad and they just have a look at you. They don't. They push it. They absolutely push it to see. They challenge you all the time. You've seen it last season. Curtis Jones, Milner on him all the time. All the time. Bang, bang, bang. Can you hit it? Can you hit it with your left foot? Can you hit it with... They're constantly at you. And he might get a shock to the system, and it might hurt for 6, 8, 10 months. But I think it'd be more beneficial now to keep him around, show him what level he has to get to while he's around these players. That's just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see. But Grizz, leading on from that, there's a lot of talk around are Liverpool looking to sell before they buy and stuff like that. Now, I don't genuinely believe that. You know, they've signed Ibrahim Konate for 36 million. They're linked with players around the 40, 45 million mark. How many of them come through? I don't know. But Origi and Shaqiri seem to be the two. There was word last week that Origi, he could stay. Shaqiri, I think, is getting interest. A couple of clubs in Spain. I think Lazio as well. Do the sales of these... Does Harvey Elliott's spot depend on the sales of these? And does the amount of money we spend on a forward depend on these, whether they stay or whether they go?
So to buy, I don't know if I agree with that. It's business.
Yeah.
So when there's business, there is selling and there's buying.
Yeah.
It's not, if we don't sell any, we won't buy anyone. But naturally, obviously, as we're a business, and fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the more money we make, of course, it affects sort of how much we buy and how many we buy. Do you want my view on the Harvey Elliott situation?
You can give me a view on Malin. You can give me a view on Harvey Elliott. And you can give me a view on who you feel will go or how it affects.
We won't bore the viewers, listeners, because we spoke about these kind of players on the Thursday.
Grujic, of course, close to Porto with
I think Grujic goes this week. I think we see movement in outgoings this week for sure. I'm pretty certain at least one outgoing this week. So we'll have an idea of where we are. But in terms of Harvey Elliott, I've got a controversial opinion, and you know it. Obviously, speaking private. See, this is one, and then you're going to start picking on me on Twitter when I didn't say that. He starts picking on me on Twitter now, Keith. He's getting really bold.
No, I didn't pick on Twitter. You start going on as if this man was the second coming of God, and this is the same fella that you wanted to sell. That's all I said.
Okay.
And you said you were really excited about Matip being fully fit. You want Matip out of the club as well. Not picking on you. I'm just pointing out what you've said.
Facts is facts.
So this gives me a chance to explain and give context because we know that's my middle name.
Yeah.
I done a tweet, guys, and I noticed, Keith, you just very quickly sided with Gav there, even though I called you out to help me, right? Which is all right, no problem. But
no, tell me the facts, Grizz. Tell me the facts.
I'm going to tell you the facts. And Avy,
know the facts.
You're there as well. So the facts are that I'm very excited about pre-season, which is starting tomorrow officially. Liverpool are back. And it's been reported, and obviously we read that they're all back in terms of Matip, Konate, Virgil, and Joel for pre-season training. And you had Mane and Salah. And I said, wow, it's brilliant to have them all back at the start of pre-season. No tournaments, had a long rest. I'm so excited for the season. Now, Gav obviously took that sort of meaning I'm being two-faced as opposed to why are you excited to see Mane? Well, of course I am. I love Mane. I absolutely love Mane. And everyone knows I do.
You wanted him sold?
I wanted him sold in a fantasy game that you made the rules.
No, it wasn't a fantasy game.
You made the rules.
It wasn't a fantasy game. I said to you,
I want you. He would have told me off anyway.
I go and find the show. I said to you, you are Michael Edwards. You make your decisions as to what you would do at Liverpool.
That's not fantasy, right?
That was the show.
Not some.
I asked you if I was to put you in control of Liverpool this summer for transfers, what would you do? And you sold Sadio Mane.
For who?
Don't care who you sold him for.
Oh, it does care. It does matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Of course,
you're
it does.
Really excited to see him now. So
if I sell Mane,
you're only excited because someone else stood you up.
If I sell Mane for Marlon, then you can have a go at me for saying Mane's name. But if I sell Mane for Mbappe, like I did in this fantasy game
What's the fantasy game?
that you ordered me to play.
No, I didn't order you to play.
Oh, you ordered me to play.
You're a middle-aged man. You're a
I'm
senior.
not Michael Edwards,
You have a
guys.
bus pass and you live
Many
200
think-
miles from me. I can't make you do anything.
Many think I am Michael Edwards, but it was a game. I'm not actually Michael Edwards, which makes it a fantasy game. But anyway, we won't go into the semantics of it all.
How excited are you to see Matt?
I'm very look, fully fit. Look, look, as long as a Liverpool player is a Liverpool player and they're fit, start season, I'm excited, Gav. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I can't wait to see the content this week of the players. Now, as I said, I agree. If it was my choice, if I was Michael Edwards and I got an offer for Matip, I would have sold him.
So you're not that excited?
We may still find that he gets sold. We never know. But look, with the preseason stuff, I can't fucking wait, guys. Don't know about you guys. I'm absolutely buzzing. Yeah. You see the main man. I put that picture up in the WhatsApp. You see the main man happy, and that's the thing that we're really working towards. A refreshed Jurgen Klopp is probably as good as fucking any signing. Do you know what I mean?
Looks like he's had a great time over.
Yeah, he does.
Everybody's lashing him out on Twitter and all to sign players. Jurgen's crashed out on a yacht having a smoke. Through a packet of bleeding Rotmans.
20 Rotmans and 8 cans. He's the best he is. But anyway, have you given me your opinion on Marlon and stuff? Or
you sort of scared around it?
No, I said we've already crossed that. Marlon, I don't think he ends up at Liverpool. I rate him. Who didn't rate him? Avy didn't rate him. Yeah, I do rate him. He's something different. He's very much like a Bobby, skillful in tight situations, very pacey, which is not like Bobby, but in terms of his trickery, he's like Bobby. But yeah, like Keith says, I don't think we're looking at that profile of striker. I think we're looking at a different profile of striker. So let's see how it goes. I think he ends up at Dortmund probably, like everyone said.
Quick answer, yes or no? Avi, do you expect the transfer window to kick into gear from tomorrow as the Euros and the Copa America are over?
Been waiting for the last 2 weeks, but yes, I do.
Yeah. Keith?
Yeah, I think you're going to see some big moves happening and the dominoes start to fall.
Okay. Grizz?
Yeah, pal. 100% outgoings, which according to some indicates money in the coppers, which indicates purchases. But yeah, definitely. I think it kicks off now. We know Jurgen likes to have players nice and early for training and everything, preseason training. So I expect 100% to get a player in the next 2 weeks.
This little Luis Alberto situation is worth keeping an eye on, isn't it, Lazio?
Yeah, we have a 20% sell on.
40%,
30%.
Oh, it's 30%, and it's the sell on. It's not the profit.
No, it's 30%. So they value him at 60 million.
Yeah.
So they're saying Liverpool get 18 to 20 on him.
I just want to clear up something that was on Twitter. That journalist that made up that scenario and it went viral, he actually follows me and we spoke. And he said it was just a
blocked of it.
Nah, he followed me within 12 hours, so I let him off. But he's actually said that was tongue in cheek. He actually made up that scenario as what an amazing scenario that would be, and then people took it for gospel and said,
"Well, it is a scenario,
wasn't it? Yeah, 4D chess move from
but it sort of is a realistic scenario because Atletico are interested in Luis Alberto, and if they do buy him, we get a chunk of that money, and then Lazio are interested, have always been interested in Shaqiri.
Would that bring you down to the fact that Saul is 40 million because he's had a fall now? He's out of favour because if they're looking at Rodrigo de Paul and they're looking at Luis Alberto, they're looking at 100 million quid. Yeah. If they pay what's being asked, that's 100 million. So it's a 60 million outlay if you sell Saul at 40 million. And people are saying that they feel the reason he's going for 40 is because they have money issues after COVID and stuff like that. So it's one to watch. Well. It could be one where he has, if he's a 9-year contract or whatever he has, there must be some sort of clause in there where he says, look, if I want to go after a set amount of time, this is the price. Because who ties themselves to a club for 9 years? I don't care how much you love them. You know what I mean? You don't tie yourself down for 9 years. It's unless you have some sort of, step-by-step outs, I suppose, if you need it. So it's a strange one. But Grizz is really excited about Joe Matip and Sadio Mane, despite him wanting them out of the club.
Every Liverpool player that wears that jersey, I'm very excited.
Yeah. Unless
except we know who.
Unless Mbappe turns up and Mane Grizz forgets his name within 24 hours. Avi, are you excited about pre-season?
Yeah. Is there a schedule already in place of who we're playing, or is it just Austria? No, I know we're going to Austria. I know we've landed too, but is there a schedule of fixtures
announced yet?
No fixtures.
It's going to be announced soon. The Austria tour is going to be announced, I think.
Pretty sure we might be playing Salzburg. I've got a feeling that we'll probably give.
Well, I think we'll be based in Salzburg.
Last time we were there, we played. The last time we were there, we played Stuttgart over there. Remember the pitch was in it. We did play Salzburg, didn't we? And we played somebody else. I think we've done 3 games over there. I expect them to do a couple of games and come back to England and play some games in England, maybe at home. But we'll have to wait and see. But you're excited, Avi? Anyway, Avi, you pre-season friendlies, you're all over.
Yes, it's always exciting. It's always when they release video content on the Liverpool channel, the website. All the youngsters coming back as well. It's good for the players.
Strutting his stuff in the first game.
Yeah.
Well, he's 10 million to Porto. He won't be there.
Yeah.
He's gone.
But, no, it's good.
All right. Keith, are you excited about pre-season?
I am. Yeah, I'm excited about pre-season. It just gives you that buzz, doesn't it, of the football being back, of the Reds being back. As I think Grizz said earlier, he's looking forward to all the content now of inside Anfield, all that sort of training and stuff. Everything brilliant. Cannot wait. But I'm more excited about the new jersey. It's amazing. This new away shirt that Liverpool have released.
I love the tagline, designed from Stone. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. It's designed from 96, 97 years lawyers. You know what I mean?
But the whole range of stuff is amazing. With Neguez really bleeding, smashing it now.
The jackets and stuff,
I'm very open to receiving. It's the time of season for gifts coming up. So, right, if anybody, it's always a season for gifts.
Oh, well, it is for you. It's always bleeding.
I'm sure it's the Chinese New Year coming up, so it might be for the Chinese.
I'll check the takeaway menu. It's usually on the back.
It's in February. Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. You're gonna love this, guy. Hold on, it's actually Eid in 2 weeks.
Of course it is. How many years do you have?
So, if anybody wants to give me a nice, is it the away kit?
Yeah,
the cream one. Yeah, but Grizz, you look horrible in it because of your size. You look
listen. That's very sizist there of you. Yeah, like it's not like you, Avi, to be like sort of.
Yeah, Avi, give it over. Will you? It's all it.
Body shame.
Ramadan. When's Ramadan?
No, Ramadan's next year, but this is the.
Oh,
it's 4 Eid for them.
There's 2 Eids a year, and this is the one we've had.
There's way Ramadan. More than that.
No, there's 2.
Well, if there's only 2, you're telling lies to me on regular. Once a month, you can say to me, mate, I can't. It's Eid, and I'm like, again, you know what I mean? It's every month.
Well, look, listen, just come on, get my details. I'll send me a DM, send me a tweet, and I'll give you my address. Get me a nice top. Oh, look lovely on me. Forget about my size and all that. Avi, I don't know where that came from.
But the new Windrunner jacket in the new colours, fantastic.
Yeah, the stuff is amazing.
100 quid all over.
It looks right. Avi, anything else before we go?
No, all good from me. Gonna look forward to America vs Haiti now at 5 p.m. So yeah.
What time is that on?
That's at 5, so in the next 45 minutes.
45 minutes. I might have a look.
1 o'clock. Brush up on the Haitians. Even I can't claim to know anything about them.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Keith, anything else before we go?
No, been a good week, Gav. We've done a lot of stuff. Before we move on, though, you're going to bring it up, how's the Sienna stuff going?
The Sienna stuff's going well. I think we've nearly 1,000 tickets sold, which is good. It's only a couple of days old, but the link is in the description, and it's our pinned tweet, and it's on our website, and it's everywhere. Well, no matter where you want to find it, you can find it. And as I said, the way it's working out at the moment, we're being charged around 35 cents a transaction. So we're being hit hard when people buy one ticket, but that's fine. We've kind of budgeted for that. But if someone, spends a tenner, we get 9.65 or something of it. So it's per transaction because the credit card companies and PayPal charge for all this sort of stuff. But it's up to, I think for every 500 tickets we sell, we get about 400 quid back, which is grand. That's absolutely fine. But all we want people to do is check the link in the description, copy it, just send it around your WhatsApp groups, send it around, knock it on your Facebook, your Instagram, tell your mates about it. If you're having dinner with family, send it to them, text it to them. And if well, I'll put it to this way. If I give Keith the link and Keith gives a quid and sends it to Avi and he gives a quid and Avi sends it on to someone else and it keeps going. And if every person can send it on to 5, 6, 10 people and 3 or 4 of those people buy a ticket, We'll sell out in no time. In no time. So it's a mammoth task. 53,394 tickets. It's huge, and it won't be done by tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, unless someone mental comes in and says, "Give me 50,000 tickets." But we're comfortable with the fact that it's going to take time. But all we're saying is that we're going to keep telling you about it. We're going to keep asking you to spread the word. And listen, give a quid. If you can give a quid, great. If you can't, delete. If you can't do that, just send it on. Just send it on to as many people as you can. We've had Liverpool supporters clubs on to us telling us that they want to push it. I've had a guy on to me today who's in the chat. I'm not going to give away his name, but he's in the chat. He's in the middle of setting up a company, and basically the company is dedicated to giving some of their profits to charity, and he wants Siena's charity to be that charity until they reach the target. And listen, anything else we can get our hands on and run by the family and get okay by them, listen, we can absolutely make it work. But the GoFundMe is there as well if you want to go directly there and do that. It's absolutely up to you. So.
And it's not about Liverpool. It's not about the LFC Daytrippers. This is about a young girl, 3 years old, Irish girl, connected to someone through the podcast.
Yeah.
And
much like Keane.
Very like Keane. And it's one that we feel is a good cause. And it's about giving this young girl a chance, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be Liverpool fans. If you spread it to if they're Manchester United, Chelsea fans, it's not a Liverpool thing. This is about helping a girl who needs help. And it's just that we do it under the umbrella of Liverpool because we're a Liverpool channel. But it's not, Liverpool specific. Spread this far and wide.
No, it's not like it. If like, you know what I mean? If you had a Manchester United fan that ran YouTube, you'd have Arsenal, you've had Chelsea, you've whoever it might be, and they tell all their followers to do it, and 10% of their followers actually go and do it, we'll sell it out. That's simple. That's simply how it'll go. Yeah. It's all about spreading the word. And if you give a quid, great. If you give 10, if you give 20, brilliant. But if you can't, that's fine. Just make sure you send it on. It's like chainmail, isn't it? Just send it on and spread. And listen, if you have a quid, here's the link. If you have a quid, here's the link. And just keep sending it to everyone you know. And by send the link and telling them, if you can give it, great, but just make sure you send it on to another load of people. That's how we'll get going. But it started off really, really well. Green, white, and red. Steve asks how is Keane getting on? He's good. He's good from what we've heard. And they went on their first family overnight trip recently, which shows how much he's progressing, because literally that child was hospital, home, ventilators at home, all sorts of stuff going on at home, massive amount of medication. But there was an update last week that they had recently gone on their first overnight trip as a family, which is a massive, that means nothing to me and you to do that. And most people, that's a massive step for them. So, Keane seems to be doing great, and we look for an update soon of him. Sienna, just keep sending that link all the time, and everyone that sends it passes it on. And if you keep doing that, we'll hit enough people to pay a quid, and we will see how we get on from there. Grizz, anything else before we go, apart from asking people for free stuff?
No, that's right. Look, I can help make a contribution to it. I wouldn't want it for free anyway. And I mean, once I get it, I can make a contribution. But
if you go half with someone for the top, will you? I go half. Listen. If there's anybody out there that wants to go half on the top for Grizz to wear, let us know.
Well, look, I've just put it out there. There's Eid coming up, and it's a time for sort of presents and whatnot.
Okay.
And if somebody wants to, send me a top for Eid, fair enough. But if you're saying like I'm asking for free stuff, no, I'm willing to go halves from that.
I'll pay for half the present.
Do you know what I mean? So look, it's two ways of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? It's up to you.
Okay.
But yeah.
See, I'm not looking to share this top with someone. You don't get it on, midweek. I get it the weekend around.
6 months and then you give it back.
Yeah. I do. I asked you last night about that website as well. So can you WhatsApp me that website as well? Anyway.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, and but apart from that, now looking forward to pre-season, the pictures, the videos of all the players and the coach and everything.
Okay. Can I ask you one last question, Chris?
Go on. Don't make it too hard.
Are you more excited about Sadio Mane and Joel Matip, or what we have in place for next season on the LFC Daytrippers? Which are you more excited about?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? That's a hard one because people won't understand what we've got lined up for next season. So if I just say, they won't really value it at the moment. But all I can say is it's look, on the back of an amazing tournament. you've actually gone away, and what we've got planned for next season, it's fucking mind-boggling.
You've still got another tournament to come, guys. Like, come on, don't discount the. You're just discounting the Tokyo Olympics. Don't discount the Tokyo Olympics.
The Olympics as well.
He wants to
there's gold medals at stake. Gold medals at stake. I'm telling you.
Is this your way of telling us you want to do watch-alongs to the Olympics?
Oh, we will do a watch-along, Gav. We will do a watch-along.
We should do watch-alongs on mad Olympic sports. Like, instead of football, we should do watch-alongs
rhythmic gymnastics and all that.
Oh, look at that jump and all. You know, that sort of stuff. We could do stuff. Or do you know the one where you have the string and you run around the floor?
That's rhythmic gymnastics.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay. Or synchronized swimming.
The swimming events are the best. The medleys and all that. I don't mind doing that. Listen, I'm up for it. I've got a bit of time off now, so I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. No worries.
Watch this space.
Let me see. Yeah, but listen, Grizz hasn't answered the question. He's sat on the fence, which is absolutely amazing. But let's all get excited about Joe Matip. Let's all get excited about Sadio Mane. But listen, most of all, let's all get excited about what we have in store for you next season at the LFC Daytrippers. All we will say is that it will look a bit different. It will sound a bit different. But you'll have more of it. That's all I can tell you, really, isn't that it? That's as far as I'm.
You won't lose anything anyway, put it that way.
No, Minister and Head of revealing stuff, Shawnee Lawson said that's all I'm allowed to say. So that has been the Fatback 4. Don't forget to check out in the description the link to Sienna. If you're listening on an audio, you can go and find it on our website. You can find it on our pinned tweet. You can find it on our Facebook. You can find it on our Instagram. So find it. Donate, spread the word, and every time you spread that word, tell people, make George turn now to spread that word to 10, 15, 20 people, wherever it might be. That has been the Fatback 4. Grizz, star. Avy, star. Keith, star. I'm Gav, over and out.